I don't even know if you can handle it. I don't know if you can. Hey, yo, Ren, turn that up. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it.
All right, it's your boy, Big Nine, Cosmic Chris Nine, and today we got the episode 6 and maybe episode 7. I might have added. Everybody go check that playlist called "The Raise Your Frequency for the Future." You know what I'm saying, series V9. I think I added it one of my old videos to video number 6, which is a good video. It's about Dr. Griff exposing the music industry. So I just you know what I'm saying, resurfaced that video for number 6. I believe this is number 7. Uh it'll be on the title, you know what I'm saying? So basically this one is about Walter E. Williams, uh an economist, uh and I would say a limited GOV pusher as well as Milton Freeman. Uh It's about 7:30 in the morning, you know what I'm saying? I had to get right to this joint, you know what I'm saying? I had to get this information out to y'all because of this presidential race that's going on, and I just want to show y'all about your democracy. You know what I'm saying? Everyone keeps saying democracy is at stake. Democracy is at stake. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're gonna listen to Walter E. Williams and learn something and see what's really at stake. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. Y'all know how I like to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Big Nine. Enjoy the video. Feel me?
From your book, Liberty versus the Tyranny of Socialism, you write, "We often hear the claim that our nation is a democracy. That wasn't the vision of the founders. They saw democracy as another form of tyranny. If we've become a democracy, I guarantee you that the founders would be deeply disappointed by our betrayal of their vision."
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. If you read the statements by Madison, Jefferson, and Adams, they condemn the idea of democracy. Matter of fact, you don't find the term democracy in any of our founding documents. That is, you don't find the word you don't find the word democracy in the Declaration of Independence. You don't find the word democracy anywhere in the United States Constitution. And if the listeners want further convincing of this, when we talk about when we pledge allegiance to the flag, is it to the democracy for which it stands, or the republic, or the song during the War of 1861? It was the battle hymn of the democracy or the battle hymn of the republic. Now, the founders thought that the idea of majority rule was a form of tyranny, and if you look at the Constitution, if you read the Constitution represents our rules of the game. It's a very it's an anti-majoritarian document. That is, the president is not elected by a majority vote. The president can veto the wishes of 535 people of Congress, and it takes 2/3 to override his veto. So there are many anti-majoritarian aspects of the United States Constitution, which represents our rules of the game. Any politician who would rigorously live up to his oath of office to uphold and defend the United States Constitution, he just would not get elected to office by the American people, because what politicians reflect, they reflect the values and views of the American people. That is, those who will elect them to office. Now, some people might say, "Well, gee, Williams, that's a little bit strong." Well, look, we just might ask ourselves, what would happen to a politician who had the vision of, let's say, James Madison, the acknowledged father of the United States Constitution? And in 1794, Congress appropriated $15,000 to help some French refugees. And James Madison stood on the floor of the House irate, and he said, and I'm virtually quoting him, he says, "I cannot undertake to lay my finger on that article in the Constitution that authorizes Congress to spend the money of their constituents for the purposes of benevolence." Now, if you look at the federal budget, 2/3 to 3/4 of it is for the purposes of benevolence. Now, you just ask yourself, what would the American people do to a politician or to anybody running for office who would make a statement like Madison did, or make another statement? Madison said that charity is not a legitimate function of government. Now, can you imagine what the American people would do to a politician who said that? And so what I'm saying is that politicians are reflecting the values and views of the people who elect them to office. And unfortunately, the values and views of most Americans are distinct from those of the founders of our nation.
So, Walter Williams, has the Tea Party movement been a positive in your view in American politics?
Well, I think so. It has been it's been a movement, or it's been a group of people who are saying, well, look, let's go back to the Constitution. Let's have constitutional principles. But whether they'll be successful or not is another matter. And keep in mind that, if you look at the founders of our nation, they wanted very, very limited government. If you read in Madison's in Federalist paper, I think it's 45 or 48, and when he was trying to describe to the citizens of New York what was in the Constitution to kind of get the citizens of New York to ratify the Constitution, he said that the powers that we delegated to the federal government are few and well-defined and restricted mostly to external affairs. Those left with the people and the states are indefinite and numerous. Now, if you turn that upside down, you'd have what we have today. That is, the powers of the federal government are indefinite and numerous, and those of the people in the states are limited and well-defined.
Government, even in its worst.
That is absolutely right. And I think that we Americans should recognize that the history of mankind has been that of arbitrary abuse and control by others. The founders were not perfect, but they tried to move us away from that. And the main enemy of mankind throughout its history has been government. That is, if you look at the 20th century, it's the most brutal century in the history of mankind. I think that something like 60 million people lost their lives in wartime, but that pales in comparison to the number of people who were murdered by their own government. And the number comes up to somewhere close to 100 million people are murdered by their own government. And matter of fact, these statistics are documented in a book called Death by Government. And so it shows that it's a strong argument that government is the enemy of mankind. Matter of fact, the framers of our Constitution recognized that. Just look at the language of the Bill of Rights. It says things like, Congress shall not abridge, Congress shall not prohibit, Congress shall not disparage, Congress shall not infringe. Now, if the framers did not think that Congress would do these things, why in the world in the Constitution? And I've suggested to people that when we die, and if at our next destination we see anything like a Bill of Rights, we know that we're in hell. Because a Bill of Rights in heaven would be an affront to God. It would be saying, well, we can't trust God, And so the framers recognized that the enemy of mankind was government, but they recognized that we do need some government. And as Thomas Paine was pointing out, that the government is under the best of conditions of the necessary evil. And matter of fact, the whole Second Amendment argument about guns, the right to keep and bear arms, most Americans think that the framers gave us the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, wanted to protect our right to keep and bear arms. They think that it was for deer and duck hunting, but the framers actually come out and say to Americans have some kind against abuse of government, and people like Hamilton said things like to allow the American people to protect themselves against their representatives if they are betrayed by their representatives. And who in the world are their representatives? It's the United States Congress. So I think that the framers held a great distrust for government. That Americans today, I think we love government. That is, the average American loves government, and the reason why the average American loves government is because government can do those things for them that if they did the same thing privately, they would go to jail. That is, government can take my money and give it to you, but if you came up to me with a gun and took my money, you would go to jail. But if you go to Congress and ask them, would you take William's money and give it to me? Oh, well, you don't go to jail, but you have my money. I have a very low tolerance for the TSA people. I think this was a number of years ago. But one time I was traveling, and I had carry-on luggage, and in my carry-on luggage, I had an eyeglass repair kit. And this TSA person told me I could take the screws, but I could not take the screwdriver. And I said, that's stupid as hell. I said, who ever heard of somebody hijacking an airplane with an eyeglass screwdriver? And so he said, wait here. And so his superintendent came up, and the superintendent asked me, and I repeated myself. He said, it's on the list. Either leave it here or you don't get on the plane. And so I would not have gotten on the plane, but the people that invited me had set up a banquet and things like that, and it would have been pretty awful if I hadn't shown up. But I just shown up. But I just don't travel commercially anymore, and now I just travel on the private plane. If people want to have me to give a talk, and it's a very costly proposition, I just will go by a private plane. I just won't deal with the TSA because I'm too old to go to jail, and I'm not as compliant as most of my fellow Americans.
Yeah. So y'all see how powerful them brothers used to be back in the day. I don't know why a lot of people don't be talking about Walter E. Williams. A lot of people on sign this platform know Walter Williams, the one who talks about religion, you know what I'm saying? But this is Walter E. Williams, the economist, you know what I'm saying? Y'all need to get in tune. Y'all be, a lot of people be day-to-day spewing misinformation about politics and governments, and we need to see our democracy, dude. They're coming for a democracy. They're coming for a democracy. What democracy? Because there wasn't one in the beginning, and there probably shouldn't be one now, honestly, if you ask me. But from my research, like they said, it's a republic if you can keep it. And apparently, it's like y'all don't even want it. You know what I'm saying? But that's because y'all don't know what a democracy is, and y'all don't know what a republic is. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to get shadow banned on this. This ain't one of them type videos. This is a raise your frequency video. Now, the main takeaway I need y'all to take away from this video, you know what I'm saying, is mainly, well, it's a few takeaways, right? But mainly, I want y'all to focus in on where Walter Williams looked at man in his eye, you know what I'm saying? And it told him like, y'all love government because y'all can't take from me, but they can, and they can give it to y'all. That's like a huge thing. That's really what it is. It's just, you know what I'm saying, theft. You know what I'm saying? That's really exactly what it is, because they're taking from one person and giving it to another. If I do that with you in your day-to-day life, if I come in your home and take anything and give it to somebody else, you would say I stole your shit. It's that simple, you know what I'm saying? Uh and I really want y'all to take a focus in on that. This was never supposed to be a D, you know what I'm saying? This was supposed to be a republic, you know what I'm saying? Real rap. I don't want to keep saying that D word, because that D word will get you flagged, you know what I'm saying? No bullshit. So I need y'all to really focus on that. You could go rewatch it, keep watching more of his fucking videos. You know what I'm saying? I need to really get in tune with the politics of this country. You know what I'm saying historically, because there's better arguments that y'all can make. That's why y'all be getting so mad when y'all be losing these arguments, because y'all is out here spewing wrong and misinformation. It's simple. It's very, very simple. You supposed to you know what I'm saying, run or at least have the GOV talk, like answer to you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of us answering to the GOV like we do on our day-to-day life. You know what I'm saying? So uh that's really all I got for y'all. I kinda wanna give y'all another video. I'm not sure if I will. Let me see real quick, but I'm gonna thread while I'm here.
Policy, you should not look at the intentions behind public policy. You should ask, what are the effects of public policy? And you see the effect of the minimum wage if you put yourself in the place of an employer. And currently, the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. In some places, much higher. But put yourself in the place, and if you look at the empirical data on that, it's very rich. In some of my research, I point out that in 1948, if you look at the unemployment rate between Black and white teenagers, the unemployment rate among Black teenagers was slightly less than that among whites. And it wasn't because it was a lack of discrimination at the time. It was that the minimum wage had not been raised. Inflation had repealed the minimum wage. Then also, if you look at another book I wrote, higher in 72, white construction workers, unskilled construction workers were making $1.91 an hour. And firms were hiring Black construction workers to do the same job for 39 cents an hour. So what was the incentive of contractors? Was hire Black workers because they were cheaper. And so the unions figured, well, if they can make Black workers just as expensive as white workers, they would improve their bargaining position. So the minimum wage law has two dramatic effects so far as human beings are concerned. It discriminates against low-skilled employment, and it lowers the cost of discrimination. That is, whenever you deny people the right to lower the price for what they sell or raise the price for what they buy, you make the less preferred person worse off. Let me give you another example, just a really quick example. Suppose you saw a fat, old, ugly, cigar-smoking man. You would say, well, is it fair for beautiful young ladies to treat fat, old, ugly, cigar-smoking men differently than handsome men? And you say, no, we're going to make a law. And you make a law that beautiful women had to treat fat, old, ugly, cigar-smoking men just like they treat handsome men. Then after you make a law such that, what happens to the probability of a fat, old, ugly, cigar-smoking man marrying a beautiful young lady? It goes to zilch, because you've taken away his most effective means of competing with the more preferred person. It's the same thing setting minimum prices. You deny less preferred people the most effective tool for competing with more preferred people. That is, just look at filet mignon and chuck steak. How does chuck steak compete with filet mignon? It goes for a lower price. And if you had an equal steak law, then people would buy all filet mignon and chuck steak would sit on the shelves. So it's a general principle that minimum wages discriminate against less preferred people.
Yeah, that John, sorry about the quality towards the end of that, John. Starts skipping a little bit. I don't know what's going on. I got my Ethernet cord plugged in and all. But as you can see, he really talked that talk. You know what I'm saying? He know what he's talking about. And he's been doing it for a long time. He's been writing his books for a long time. He actually died a couple years ago. Rest in peace to Walter E. Williams. Maybe about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Still kind of fresh. But and a lot of people in my generation and below don't even know who this person is, which is crazy, but makes a lot of sense in why people think the way that they think. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't just let this shit go over your head. Don't just be watching this shit for fun. Watch this shit to learn something. You know what I'm saying? Listen to what this man got to talk about. As you can see, he knows what he's talking about and he's been doing it for a long time. He is one of them. You know what I'm saying? It was prevalent that I threw him in this series, and I'm glad he made it in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? He made it in the first 10. No bull. So, you know what I'm saying? It's your boy, Big Nine. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment. If you got any questions, want to debate anything, I'm very active in the comments. I'll make sure that I will get back to your comment. You know what I'm saying? And pretty fast too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also taking interviews for, you know what I'm saying? I don't want just anybody, but I want people with shit going on. You know what I'm saying? If you got some shit going on and you ain't getting enough exposure, you know what I'm saying? Fuck with your boy. You know what I'm saying? We gonna definitely make some shit happen. I got some interviews coming, couple of them. Some people be playing, some people don't. You know what I'm saying? So I got some shit coming, but I'm still, you know what I'm saying? We on the rise. You know what I'm saying? We making as much movement and momentum into this fucking ether that we can, and that's what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, Big Nine.